Welcome to OpenTechTalks.tv. Today we have a guest speaker, Giorgio Natili. Welcome to the OpenTechTalks.tv. Can you introduce yourself to our audience?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Kashif. I'm Giorgio Natili, Vice President and Head of Engineering at Opaque System, a company that is focused on building confidential AI workflows, agentic workflows, analytics workflows on top of confidential computing. The mission of the company is to maintain data sovereignty in complex AI workflows, and I'm leading the engineering team and deeply influencing the product vision of this company.
Okay, and if someone new to confidential computing, and if you can give them a context on
Absolutely.
confidential computing, and then also how Giorgio landed to confidential computing.
So think about confidential computing as a different way to do computing where you can attest the communication between multiple components. You can attest which software are installed on a virtual machine, and that you can guarantee cryptographically safe communication and data exchange. That's, in a nutshell, confidential computing. My opinion, in 10 years from now, confidential computing will be the de facto standard because it enhances significantly the posture of any system. There are, of course, complications. Confidential computing is based on two concepts: trusted computer base, that are basically the components that can run, and trusted execution environment. To give you a simple example, if you use an iPhone or an Android, whenever you do biometrics, you are leveraging a slice of the CPU, that is the trusted execution environment, where this exchange happen, that is highly sophisticated and very hard to crack, if not impossible. Up to today, we don't have any news of biometric leakage from any of the iOS, Android operating system. That's in a nutshell. Confidential AI is basically running AI workflows. Think about RAG, agents. Think about simply model fine-tuning on a confidential computing cluster where you can prove that everything is happening in a trusted computer base that is running on a trusted execution environment, and you can basically protect the data. Think about a trusted execution environment also as an area where you can upload and use encrypted data, decrypt the data, so that the data then became visible, but is unbreakable. So you can think about having encrypted data at runtime without leveraging cryptographic techniques that slow down and increase the computation time. And you can see how much it can be impactful for AI. Think about serving an LLM inside a trusted, inside a confidential computing or a confidential computing cluster. The LLM at that point became protected. Your data stay into an environment that you agree with and don't leave it. You prevent attack based on biases and weights that you generate during the inference when you interact with an LLM. And in RAG, when you're augmenting the context, it's even more fascinating. You are augmenting the context, pulling data that can be also very sensitive. They stay protected. You can then generate whatever output you want. You can apply guardrails to safeguard everything, and everything is happening in this magic environment. The reason why I landed in this domain is because I always had an interest for privacy. I worked at Firefox, that is a very highly privacy-oriented browser. I worked in companies where privacy is important, like Capital One, the third major bank in the US, Amazon. And for me, it was a natural progression of my career, trying to understand how confidential computing can reshape the usage of AI, maintaining data sovereignty, and at the same time, increasing the ethical usage of data. It's powerful when there are sensitive data. Then it's when it's very powerful. But if this data can leak or can by leak, I don't mean just leaving the environment, also simply leaking into the LLM, you are not doing an ethical usage of this data. And then I found that the mission was compelling. And that's why I'm here.
Okay, very good. Now, If someone is listening and for him confidential computing is maybe just a new term, and the way you explained it, now if he thinks of what he get in the world of chat gpt, and if we replicate this scenario in an organizational context where they're using RAG with their own private either LLMs on the GPU installed based on own tenancy, on cloud environments, or maybe something which they are using as an open source. So how you differentiate, keeping in mind of the privacy and other areas?
So let me try to repeat back the question. You wanted to understand why I see a differentiator in using
Just
confidential computing for enterprise
yeah.
AI-based workflow. Well, first of all, it depends how you use it. So confidential
Mhm.
computing per se can be done with the confidential virtual machines, attestation services that are offered by many cloud service providers, and these give you the bare bone of what you can do. Amazon offers Nitro, that is a platform you can build on top. But you as an enterprise have to build your own mechanism to manage all these components in such a way you can offer an attestation and a cryptographically signed proof that what happened into a specific workflow, it involved the components that were supposed to be there, prevented the access of encrypted data to third parties. If you and I are collaborating on a fine tuning, we might have sensitive data that I own and that you own. I should not be able to see yours, you should not be able to see mine, but the fine tuning should still happen. So you have to
Right.
build your own mechanism. And then there are additional complications like how you do ATLS, how you attest that the TLS communication is happening between the real services. If you want to go even deeper, how you can attest and prove that the virtual machine it's spin with a specific configuration and that the configuration never changes. Why this is important? When the configuration of a virtual machine change, if it's not intentional, there might be an attack. The configuration can be a port that is getting open, a shell, a command that gets executed. So this is how confidential computing can change the way you develop your workflows. Now, the point is that this is a lot of work, and that's what Opaque built. And that's
Right.
our offer. Our offering has two major components, analytics and agentic workflows. Agentic workflows, you can create a workflow that happens on a trusted execution environment with a specific trusted computer base where the confidential virtual machine is immutable. And that's one area. The other area is a Spark Python script that you can run collaborating on data that stay encrypted until they don't go into runtime. But the runtime is, again, another CVM that is immutable. So you can't access it, but the data can do their magic. At the same time, with the synthetic data, reduction of sensitive field and so on, you can prepare your script, or you can simply use an LLM without leaking data. If I can redact sensitive information efficiently, and I can configure it with regular expressions, I can be guaranteed that I'm not leaking information into a model. So at that point, also, if you use a third-party model like ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, you have a higher level of security. Even better, if you are using your own model, that is, or in your cluster, or uploaded into Opaque, that is a cluster inside your cluster, because at that point, the model is executed on confidential virtual machines. So the security guarantee is huge. And to some extent, you can also, if you're not doing fine tuning on that specific model, you can also think that that model with that instance of the CVM disappear after the fact.
Right.
So also if some data leaked into it, it's gone.
Mm. Mhm. Mhm. Well, very well explained. Now, maybe over the last 1 year and so, have you seen any patterns are emerging while working with customers? Maybe on privacy, maybe on risks, maybe on bias, hallucinations, any patterns which can be the lessons for who is trying to implement in the enterprise?
Yes. So the more significant pattern that I observed is that every organization that is embracing AI it's encountering at some point a problem that is data sovereignty and regulations. How you exchange and play on sensitive data, leveraging a confidential AI that, again, we have an offer, but everybody can build their own stack. You are almost automatically starting to be compliant with the regulations like HIPAA, GDPR, and so on, because you can guarantee the sovereignty of this data. Similarly, when you are mixing up data from different departments where there are revenue information, social security number, address, phones, date of birth, age, whatever, right, that is considered a personal identification information, and you can do this in a secure, trusted environment, trusted execution environment, you are really empowering, unleashing the power of AI. And this is a pattern. Companies reach experimentation, they go there, and then they found this big rock. Okay, how we maintain security, data sovereignty, privacy? What about different countries? What about different regulations? In healthcare, how we can be compliant with HIPAA and still being able of leveraging patient data to enhance a cure for cancer or for whatever this is. That's where they are hitting. Most of the companies, they're hitting a wall. The other thing that I observed is that is a funny thing. All the enterprise, they go through this hype of AI where we can do everything with AI.
True.
And
even non-AIs want to do with AI.
Absolutely, right? Makes sense.
Yeah.
You are saving money, you're saving time, and so on. One pattern that I observe, but this is outside of my day-by-day work, it's in general, is that many companies start to believe that they can replace human being with AI, and they forget that the real expert in the room is not AI, it's the human being. So this is a pattern that I observed. It's a few months that I'm advocating this. And now there is an interesting paper from Apple that I'm still digesting that is about the illusion of thinking, of reasoning in large reasoning models that is kind of making my theory very, 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 very supported. Let's put it this way.
Okay.
The expert in the room is the human being. AI,
Right.
it's what can help you to gather missing piece of your knowledge, additional information, validate things. But that's another pattern. Thinking that you can replace human being with AI, I don't think is the right way to go after AI. It's not ethical and it's not fair.
Okay. Now, maybe with your offering, what type of organizations are working with you? Is it some segments or is it some, maybe you can give us some overview
Yes,
to
there
that?
are. There are financial sector, of course, because sensitive data and sensitivity of the information like credit score, saving amount, saving accounts, investment, and so on. There is healthcare, and there is customer service providers because they deal with other sensitive data. And we're starting to see also some legal firms start to approach because, again, of the sensitivity of the information that they.
So maybe due to the short time we have today, so if someone want to reach out to you, what could be the best medium to reach out to you?
The best medium, it's LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. Please don't sell me everything because that's the counter, right? Of being active on LinkedIn.
Right.
Everybody want to sell me something, but if you want to have a discussion, a conversation, I would be more than open to have it. And maybe, Kashif, we can reschedule another more in-depth conversation if you want about
Yeah,
agentic workflows and confidential computing and how you can make the agentic exchange secure and fair.
true. I think we should have another one because it got delayed, messed up my recording studio. And what I will do, I will share a link with you, and then maybe we'll have a follow-up session where we will go focus on agentic one. I will go ahead, publish this one, and then we'll have follow-up focused on agentic.
Sounds good to me. Excited
All
to be
right.
with you again.
Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.